gentlemen, to Hinterlands One Shot episode 32. How you doing, wife?
Good.
You doing good?
It's late. I wish I'd made some cocoa before this.
Oh, cocoa, yes. Cocoa is the best, and you make it every night.
I do not make it every night.
Almost every night. I've had more cocoa in the past 6 months than I ever had in my entire life.
It just sounds good recently.
Oh, my word. Today we're talking about a variety of topics. We don't have any specific one. But we do have a list created by my wife as she gestures at it imperiously.
I didn't gesture at it imperiously. I'm trying to be organized. Okay?
Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Well, let's just jump right in. Number 1. George Soros is funding a group petitioning to release prisoners.
And you found the link on that.
I did, but for some reason my link is no good. Well, let's put it into...
Oh, you didn't keep it open?
No, I have limited space on my computer to look at. Look how narrow this little tiny baby screen is. I don't know if this is going to work. It's not. That's not what we want. Anyway, you have a link, didn't you?
I didn't. I just came across an article that I did not leave open that said that the group was called the William J. Brennan Center for Justice. I'm not sure if that's actually the group or not, but George Soros does fund it apparently. And it's a left-leaning organization, of course. But we actually came across this, not this particular story necessarily, but the topic on Catching Up with KJ video from Scariest Movie Ever channel. And it doesn't surprise me because it seems like George Soros does nothing but just try and breed chaos.
I had a thought not too long ago that you could make a list of individuals in the world who are alive today who literally are James Bond villains. The problem is, we don't literally have James Bond, so they just get to do whatever they want. It's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
Also, James Bond's going to be a woman next, who won't be as physically fit and capable.
This next movie, if it ever comes out, will probably kill James Bond for good. Did it already come out? Or did it get delayed indefinitely?
I don't know. Coronavirus kind of delayed everything.
All these poor celebrities who their movies aren't coming out, so they're crying on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't feel bad if it did, because James Bond's been on a downturn for a while, so meh. That last trailer really just made it seem like a terrible movie from the get-go. I can read this if you want.
Okay.
The Brennan Center for Justice, which is heavily financed by George Soros, has submitted a letter to the governors of all 50 states urging them to use executive action to release as many people as possible from incarceration due to coronavirus fears, provided they do not pose serious public safety threats.
Right, and then there was that guy who got released the other day, who one day out of prison he killed somebody.
Literally committed murder one day after being released.
And I saw an article about, I think it was the same guy. He had 35 counts on his rap sheet.
Wow. And they decided he was deemed not a public risk.
Is it in California where they are letting people out without bail? No?
Like they're literally just setting them free?
Yeah, they arrest people and then they just set them free again because, oh, well, this wasn't worth a bail. Or they don't have the money to pay bail, so we'll just let them out.
Wow. Let me tell you. I know I said this on the last one, but if you were a thief in California right now, think about it. $900 or less. They don't even get called. The police won't even come.
Oh yeah, you can go take a dump in a Safeway and nobody's going to do a thing.
And on your way out, you can grab a new pair of earbuds on your way. And then no police, don't matter.
Didn't we see a video on somebody's channel recently of people just standing around, employees standing around as somebody just shoplifts? And they all watch?
Yeah, there's several videos like that. This dude walks in with a backpack and just starts loading up on electronics. and just walks out with them. Nobody says a thing. No cops are called because they know the cops won't do anything.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's maybe what we should do. We should sell California to Mexico, and with that money, we complete the wall.
I see.
See
The problem is that the wall at that point would have to go all the way up to Oregon.
Oh, that's fine. We don't want
further.
to be connected to California. I think
they could take Oregon too.
Yeah, Oregon's starting to get kind of gross. But the good news is that I saw an article on the Facebook group we just joined the other day that shows that there are, thankfully, conservatives in our liberal town, saying that as of right now, there are no plans and there's no reason to let prisoners out of jail
Which
here.
is good because we have a maximum security
We do, yeah.
penitentiary in town here.
And apparently they keep posting these articles saying, oh, there's 6 people who are testing positive at the prison. Oh no, there's so many people testing positive at the prison. And the other day in the community page, I saw this question from somebody who works for a liberal, stink rag. And she was saying, hi, I'm looking to talk to people who maybe work at the prison or who have somebody incarcerated there right now. Send me a private message. I'd really like to talk to you guys. Just looking for some sob story or something.
Yeah.
About somebody so terrified, in prison with a pre-existing condition or something.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have become a criminal. I've never gone to jail in my life. I've only been pulled over like 4 times in my entire life. Granted, I did get a couple of tickets, but whatever. They're traffic tickets. Everybody gets those once in a while.
And one of those was completely bogus.
Was it bogus? One that I got? Oh, was that the one in Oregon?
No.
Or Washington.
I think we were still in Washington. We were driving for like miles
ticket.
and miles and
So
miles
dumb.
and miles, and there was no speed sign
anywhere. The town of Renton, right?
I don't remember what town it was.
I'll explain for the audience. I'm pretty sure it was Renton. Whatever town is right next to Renton, it's those towns that don't have any borders. Suddenly you're in a new town, even though, you don't know it because they're literally half a mile apart from each other. They're basically the same town. Long stretch of road. You think you're out of town. You go up to 45 or 50, and then suddenly you get nailed with a cop giving you a ticket because it's 35 all through all 6 of these towns that don't have a beginning or an end. And you don't know it because you feel like you're out of town.
You just heard a sound. That was me accidentally pushing the table.
Yeah, so that was a bogus ticket. Anyway, moving on. Dr. Fauci can't guarantee it will be safe to vote in November.
Yeah.
This is the same guy who keeps, changing his mind on how long it's safe to stay home. Didn't he say it was something like a year now? He thought we wouldn't be able to do anything for a year?
I don't know. Every time I see this guy in front of the camera, I think he's just having so much fun. He can barely contain himself from smiling. He's got this kind of good-naturedly, oh, well, I don't really want to be dealing with this, but, I'm just the best you guys are going to get. I'm just God's gift to all of you.
He's kind of...
He's weird.
He's kind of Weasley.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just seems a little Weasley to me.
He's a short little guy up there next to Trump and Pence and all these normal-sized dudes, and he just looks so smug.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the guy who just recently said that, if people want to take the risk of getting COVID-19 and probably a bunch of venereal diseases, by going on Tinder right now because they're so sad in quarantine, that's they need to just decide whether the risk is worth it for them. That's just fine if they want to go do hookups. But the rest of us, no, don't go shopping unless you absolutely have to. Your job's not essential. You have to stay home.
Don't go to the public beaches.
Ugh.
Don't go paddleboarding. Sorry, don't go skateboarding. Or filling your skate park with sand.
Yeah, you should look that up.
Well, there's no point in looking that up. Anybody listening can look it up.
That's true. What's the name of that park?
That was the Venice Beach Skate Park. It's really famous. It's like Tony Hawk and the Z-Boys,
Okay.
If you're a skater, you know who the Z-Boys are? That's like their backyard. It's a really, really big deal in the skating world, and they're just filling it with beach sand. The bulldozer.
The article, maybe they're burying something there. Not COVID-19 deaths, because we know that stupid thing with Hart Island happens all the time.
Oh, I know, that dumb... Yeah. The mass grave on Hart Island with all 15 homeless men, because they don't have families, that died. Like, yes, this is what Hart Island is for. That's what they use it for.
Well, the article I saw in conjunction with the video of the sand going into the skate park was that, this is what happens. They got a little taste of power, and now they're just shutting down everyone's fun just because they can.
Yeah, it's garbage.
There doesn't seem to be any other reason to do stuff like that than just, screw you guys. You can't have fun. You need to stay in your homes.
Yeah, it seems that way. Meanwhile, people who have giant mansions and no worry for food or money can stay home on their estates. And it's great for them.
Did you see that tweet from, what is that other Weasley little guy? He's kind of dumpy.
Who's that?
He's been accused of being a pedo a bunch of times.
I just had like 6 names come to mind.
I know.
So.
Weasley little guy. What's his name?
Dan Schneider.
No.
Tom Hanks.
I want to say something.
Steven Spielberg.
Olsen or...
Olsen?
Not Olsen. Something like that. People are probably really frustrated with me because it's really obvious. But he was basically chewing people out for wanting to get back to work. But he was suggesting it's because they just want to go out and get fast food or something like that.
I'm still not know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name, but the person who was replying to it immediately said, "You have been doing stuff to kids for years, and here you are saying this, like." And I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard other things about that guy before, like he murdered his first wife or something.
Good times.
He's just a creepy looking dude all around.
Maybe that's why he's creepy looking, so people are making baseless rumors about him. That poor guy, that poor man. You can't help what he looks like.
I don't know if I mentioned this last podcast or I just said it to you, but I do believe that if somebody is evil, eventually it will show in their face.
Yes, I can agree with that. It seems like people who are very evil, for some reason, you can look at them and tell.
Like George Soros. He has gills on his face.
Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer. That guy looks evil. You can tell.
It always blew my mind a little bit that people said that, what was his name? Why am I...
I don't know, your brain's not working
so
tonight.
blank? The one that was such a hot shot with the women.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
No.
Wasn't it?
No, Dahmer's the one who was a cannibal. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was gay.
Was he? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
I know who you mean.
Yeah.
He's got a famous, Illuminati last name. Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
I never understood why he was supposedly so irresistible to women.
Well, you never met him. So
Pictures
you
of
won't
him,
know.
he looks like a bum and kind of a creep.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't say he's handsome, but he's average enough to be considered handsome.
Average enough. Well,
you know what I mean?
My dad raised me with stories of these people, so I had a good...
Your dad raised you with stories of Ted Bundy.
I remember when I was a kid and my dad warned me about not just being nice and feeling guilty to be nice to men. And he told me the story of how Ted Bundy would lure women to the trunk of his car by pretending to be injured and then, knock him out and toss him in the trunk.
This guy is a guy I always think about. I just looked him up. This is the leader of Heaven's Gate. The guy he literally got his followers. He's a cult leader who got his followers to take the Kool-Aid. Literally take the Kool-Aid. It's not a Jonestown thing. It's when the Hale-Bopp comet went over in the 90s, they thought this guy had convinced his cult that they should all commit suicide because that was their vessel to the stars, and their ethereal bodies or whatever would go up to the spaceship flying over the comet. And he got a bunch of people to murder themselves. You can tell that guy's evil just by looking at him, can't you? Anybody listening can look that guy up. I don't know his name, but just look up Heaven's Gate and you'll get his face. He's just got this spooky yellow-eyed thing going.
Kind of that Copeland look.
Yeah, Kenneth Copeland. He's got that look.
A little bit, yeah.
You know Kenneth Copeland's evil. He's got some skeletons in his closet. Oh boy. Anyway,
yeah.
We digress.
The next note down there was, are we all one crisis away from becoming snitches or stormtroopers?
I know I am. Like, I'm waiting for the big one so I can just put my costume on from Star Wars conventions and grab my AR and go for it.
Well, I've just seen a bunch of whining on social media. Particularly the other day, somebody took to Facebook to complain that they took their dog on a walk and somebody did not get out of their way and walk in the ditch so that they could have 6 feet between them. And they put them at risk by not walking 6 feet away.
For shame.
Mm-hmm.
That is sick. That person probably wanted them to die. That's why they walk so close to them.
Yeah.
They need the cops calling them.
And there were comments in that saying, I would have just pushed her in the ditch. You should have just pushed her in the ditch. I would slap her.
Well, guess what? You got to get close to someone to push them in the ditch, so you're violating your own ethos.
Yep.
You know.
And I'm not wearing a mask to the grocery store. I will not do it. It's stupid. It's not helping anybody. It's just, making us all look extremely paranoid. But the other day, I saw somebody berating, albeit not that meanly, a morbidly obese man in one of those electric carts.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked by just in time for him to say, oh, yeah, I know. Well, hopefully this will all blow over soon. And what seemed to be happening is that he'd gotten a little too close to the woman in front of him, and he'd had to back up his electric cart to be right on the please wait here sign.
Wow.
And so I had to cut between these people because now the way they have the line set up is the line goes all the way back into the aisles.
Yes,
so
I've seen
you gotta go all the way around the store if it's backed up.
I just don't care. And I'm a big guy, and I make sure I have a scowl on my face and I have a beard so people don't question me. If I need to get next to someone to get my stinking cayenne pepper in the spice aisle in the grocery store, then I will.
I just say, excuse me, really obviously.
So I don't even care. I just walk up.
You're so rude.
I'll just glare at them if they say anything.
You're gonna get one of those really arrogant people with their cell phones yelling at you.
I'll just walk closer to them, start coughing a little.
Oh, you can't do that. You'll get terrorist charges. That actually happened in town,
In our town?
Yes.
Terrorist charges?
Yes, the cops arrested a guy for coughing on them and saying, I have COVID-19, and he's being charged with terroristic threat.
Guy's got some cojones. That's what he's got.
No.
Or he has COVID.
He was high on drugs.
Oh, well.
I mean, it is a dumb thing to do. Like, if the police are already bothering you, and you think, I'm going to turn around and cough in their face and say this, yeah, you're going to jail.
Oh, I'm not going to say I have COVID. I'm just going to start coughing and see what they do.
They'll probably pee their pants in this town. Anyway, it seems like people are just, rubbing their fingers together like, ooh, that neighbor, they've been cutting the grass too short for 3 years. I'm going to watch them like a hawk and see if they start coughing. Like,
those dang kids always letting their dog walk on my lawn. It's like the modern day version of swatting, blaming someone for having COVID and not reporting it.
It really would not surprise me.
Moving on.
Yeah.
We're organized tonight. It's scary. It's all your fault.
Well, the next one down was, do you think anyone is waking up to what's going on? Or are they just too asleep?
I think they're all getting sucked into the QAnon collective. Resistance is futile. We are the Borg.
Well, I'm not talking about people who are already conspiracy-minded. I'm talking about normies, as much as I don't like that term.
You know how many normies have watched Out of the Shadows? Which we're not touching upon, but you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of people were like, look at this incredible documentary. Watch it, and then become a believer. The Great Awakening. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I bet you a ton of people are watching that and going, wow, there's really something here. and then they start jumping into those rabbit holes on the internet with no regard to discernment or belief that there's a psychological war going on out there, and they need to have they need to inject a bit of common sense, not just fall into the rabbit holes and believe everything they see out there, because you will end up believing deeply in the QAnon, and I think that's a mistake, personally, now. Like, I'm leaning more and more towards that being a mistake.
Yeah, we were talking the other day about how it seems like QAnon is leaning more into New Ageism.
Well, yeah, because the one of the most recent Q drops was like this little video on YouTube that was like
encouraging meditation.
Yeah, it was like silence your mind and heal, and it's just like this contemplative, like electronic droning sort of music that you're supposed to meditate to, in this like digital figure of wood that like spins around and zooms in and out or whatever. It's to help you meditate. That's what it is. It's clearly that. It had the tag yoga on it.
Yeah.
One of the tags was yoga. So QAnon wants you to practice. What do they call that?
Meditation.
Well, yes, but what's the fancy term that everybody uses?
I don't know.
Anyway,
but I always
wants you to learn meditation.
I always narrow my eyes a little bit at people when they talk about how they meditate, because I do not believe that. I don't think somebody who claims to be a Christian should use "I'm doing praying and meditation" in the same sentence. Maybe they mean it differently than I'm thinking.
Yeah, they're just ignorant of where the origin of that allusion kind of comes from. In my opinion.
Well, excuse me. I was just thinking, I don't know if it's a sign of there are trolls in pretty much every group on the internet, but today I was a little shocked to see, my mom wrote an article in the local paper in her hometown, urging people to not freak out so much, but just to look at what's going on, see that there are differing experts, because her sister saw this article and freaked out at her and said, "You just want old people to die. That's what you want. You want old people to die so that we can get the economy going again." And that seems to be a repeating theme with liberals, is that if we want to go back to work and be able to feed our children, well, we just want old people to die.
Yeah, well, her sister clearly never looked at all 7 or 8 of the expert, like, virologists and epidemiologists they put together on Highwire, that they all are just in huge disagreement about how the world is reacting to this virus.
Well, I've just come to the conclusion that most people are emotionally driven, and they cannot think of something in pragmatic terms first. They have to just feel things first.
Yeah, well, we've been trained to be extremely reactionary, and that's a big mistake. Being reactionary is bad news if you don't take time to really digest information and then make a logical decision. Emotion's not bad. I mean, it helps. It helps you be impassioned about your logical arrival on something, but really, you got to be logical first and emotional second to make good decisions. That's. I'm not sure if I should say what I almost said. I was going to say that's why we shouldn't have women in high places of authority, because as far as I've seen, women react emotionally. They react quickly and emotionally. And that's not great for a world leader. You know what I mean?
I always roll my eyes and get frustrated whenever I see a movie or TV show that either has a female president or is pushing that there should be one, because they make the worst decisions.
It's not to say that there aren't logical women out there who think things through and are logical about their decision making, but overwhelmingly it seems like that a female trait is to react emotionally. It helps with child rearing. It helps a great deal with child rearing. They're the nurturers. That's the way it is. But as far as like making a giant financial decision for the family,
Yeah.
probably not a great mindset.
Well, you and I both took that personality test. I think it was last year, and we ended up in the rarest category.
Mm-hmm.
And,
you got the rarest
yeah.
one. I got the second rarest
well,
one.
mine was the rarest because I'm a woman. It's very rare for women to be in that category.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've actually been accused by people close to me of being rather cold-hearted. But if thinking things through logically makes me cold-hearted, then fine.
You're a Vulcan. We're Vulcans.
But I can't. I have no patience for people who are just, if it saves even one life, we're gonna shut everything down. Like, And what I was getting at with that is my mom is also part of this group on Facebook. And she shared her article, and the admin of the group said, "Wow, thank you. I appreciate this," because she's on the same page, seemingly, the admin. But this woman that I saw freaking out about how I'm glad the cruise ships aren't coming this year. I'm glad. And I'm out of work, but I'll gladly stay home to save people. She got on there immediately, and you could tell she was ready to fight, which is such a dumb thing to do, like to shut down the conversation, because the whole point of my mom's little article piece was, let's not shut down the conversation. Let's discuss things. She said, okay, you want to discuss? How about this blah, 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 blah. I will listen to the CDC and the World Health Organization. Like, are you kidding me?
Wow, you just
like,
out yourself as someone who doesn't think for yourself, because there's so much contradictory information out there that goes against those two organizations.
There's so much evidence showing that they are just up to their eyeballs in corruption and payouts.
Absolutely.
While you were getting the toddler to sleep, there was a video from Truth Factory, new one, and she was laying out all the, all the corruption and all the little hidden dealings with the World Health Organization director.
Wow.
And
isn't he a communist terrorist?
He's had affiliations with a communist terrorist group,
That's what I've heard about.
And he's covered up multiple, I think it was cholera outbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the wife of some bigwig in China is a World Health Organization, like, ambassador of peace or whatever it's called.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so they are just in deep there with China.
Yeah, it's messed up to trust those two entities to the ends of the earth. Can't you trust doctorates? Like, people who study virology? Because I can grab you some information from actual virologists and epidemiologists who don't think that this coronavirus thing is nearly as bad as the media tells you, or what the CDC tells you, or what the World Health tells you. It's contradictory to all those.
Yeah.
But apparently we just don't believe them. We believe the CDC because they know best. Government knows best. Big Brother knows best. Right?
Yeah. Well, and on that note, like, people, I've been seeing all these articles pop up recently about Bill Gates just became the next target of the right wing because he's trying to help with COVID-19 and he's speaking out against Trump. Therefore, the right wingers are coming for him. Never mind the fact that he's horribly corrupt and he's had his money all over vaccines for decades.
Yeah, his money funds organizations that are the direct cause of tons of people who have polio, who are paralyzed from polio symptoms.
India, right?
In India. Yeah, and tons of infertility or fertility problems, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in Africa. It's crazy how much his money has ruined people's lives. Yeah. And I say his money because who knows how, he seems very involved in where his money goes, but the dude's a billionaire. He probably has money going in so many places.
Yeah,
it probably is even challenging for him to keep track of it all.
Yes, but for something that he seems so passionate about,
he does seem really involved in where the money goes as far as vaccines go.
I mean, he stepped down from his company in order to put more time into this.
Yeah.
He clearly is so far up his own butt. He thinks that he's going to save the world.
Yeah. He's a Bond villain.
Yeah, another one. Him and George Soros. But what I guess where I was going with that is we have very few cases here.
Mm-hmm.
Almost nobody's died in Alaska. Nobody's died in weeks in Alaska. and the case is actually completely halted in one town, and everybody's recovered.
They got one more, didn't they?
Not that I heard, unless you heard something new.
Yeah, I think they got one more recently.
Oh, yeah. Well, the point is that most, almost nothing's happening here.
It's because social distancing works.
Yeah.
Flatten the curve.
Ugh, and that's what that woman who was freaking out at my mom said, too. Social distancing works. Clearly, we're seeing that it's working.
You know what's funny?
What?
I actually read an article the other day that was like, if we take all the numbers in 6 or 8 weeks' time from now, we take all the numbers from all these countries, including Sweden, including North Dakota and South Dakota, which didn't participate in any mandated social distancing, no hunker down rules from the governor's office, nothing. In Sweden and Israel, which started doing the herd immunity thing, they're just quarantining. I think, well, maybe it's a different thing I read. Anyway, it was my understanding they started doing the, quarantine the elderly. That's it. And then everybody else gets back to work. If we take the data from all of those and they all look the same, then we ruined our whole economy for nothing. It's just the flu. It might be a bad one. It might have a little higher death rate than the normal flu that we're all used to. But it's not so enormous as to shut down the whole world and ruin everybody's jobs. It's not worth it to do that, but we did it anyway. And that's messed up.
Well, I think I told you the other day that apparently there's a local business who, I don't even know what the business was because I didn't recognize the door. But they posted a picture of their door with new signage, and they are just making personal protective equipment. They've changed their entire business to do that.
I'm really curious what they made before.
Yeah.
If they've been open for 40 years and they're in town here, I'm really curious what business it is.
And that's the thing, they said they've been open for 40 years.
That's crazy.
So it just, you're not going to need it. Our hospitals are not overwhelmed. Our hospitals are not going to be overwhelmed.
Most of the hospitals in the nation are underwhelmed.
Yeah.
They're empty.
And that's the thing, too, is I said something on social media the other day about how this whole flattening the curve thing is ridiculous because all this hunkering down is doing is prolonging this. And they said that's the whole point, is to make sure the hospitals don't get overwhelmed. And I really wanted to find that video of all the nurses dancing with the giant rear end balloon things.
Yeah.
And just, hospitals are so overwhelmed.
Such a mockery.
It really seemed like, do you think they're tone deaf, or do you think that they're mocking people intentionally?
I think they're tone deaf. They just, then they don't have anything to do. No elective surgeries, less car accidents, so no people needing emergency work, less gang violence, less crime because everybody's at home scared of a virus.
Yeah.
Emergency rooms are empty. What are they doing? They're sitting around on their thumbs. If they get someone who comes in and is coughing and it's not bad enough, they tick a box on the internet, tick, and then that number gets shot out to the world saying this hospital has one more COVID-19 patient, and then they send them home with some vapor rub on their chest or whatever. It's absurd. They don't even keep them there, and their hospital's empty still.
Yeah. Well, did I tell you about that article I saw about some town? I don't remember where it was. They did a bunch of randomized tests on people, just random people off the street. Most of them tested positive, and they were all completely asymptomatic. And it was terrifying. This was supposed to be terrifying. I look at that and I go, oh, yeah. Most people have it.
I look at that and go, oh, I wonder why I've been had kind of a sore throat and coughing the other day. Maybe I had it. I feel fine now.
Yeah, the thing is that I don't think, unless 100% of people get tested, they're never going to know how many people had it. And that's the truth for the seasonal flu as well.
Yep.
They like to claim that they know how many people get it every year. All they know is how many people went to the hospital. And
they spin those statistics to cause more fear to sell their flu shots every year that don't work because it's 1 out of 10. And they roll the dice because even if it was effective, which I don't think it really is, it's probably not the right one because there's 10 different flus going around and they just roll the dice and hope to hit it.
And isn't it funny that we haven't heard anything about the flu this year? Anything.
No, the flus, we don't have the flu anymore. Did you see that video?
No.
Is it a doctor? Burks?
The scarf lady,
Yeah.
as Rush calls her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scarf lady. There's this video you can find of her going, I forget what the sentence was, but at some part, she goes, well, because we don't have the flu anymore. She said that on national television.
Well, the dumb
White
thing
House
is-
press briefing. We don't have the flu anymore. Really? Why? Where'd it go?
I don't know if it was supposed to be 2019 or this year, but they decided to bring back the flu mist, which is the one that actually is a live virus, I believe.
Yeah.
That, can, when you get infected, you spread it without knowing.
Fantastic.
But they approved that, knowing full well that it was a completely ineffective vaccine. But anyway, yeah, I wonder if at the end of all of this, people are going to look at the numbers and they are going to be so convinced that it's because we all hungered down.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They're going to convince everyone that it's because we hunkered down and we sheltered in place and we did social distancing and the cops were doing the right thing by arresting that poor guy who was running on the beach by himself without a mask, Well,
I know what's funny about that is I saw a lot of people out today because it was so nice.
It was crazy. There were so many people out there. Yeah, there was a bunch. Out where I went, there must have been... We drove by the boat launch. There must have been 60 vehicles there. And 40 of them had boat trailers. It was absurd. There's so many people who took their boats out in the water today. It's gorgeous out.
I'm sure they were all social distancing
I'm sure
on
there's
skiffs.
just one person per. Yeah, and they all stayed 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Done.
Meanwhile, I'm the only one who actually social distance. I took the kids troll hunting.
Yes,
up
troll
in
hunting.
Woods.
Well, we digressed again.
Yeah.
Moving
so,
on.
Getting into general conspiracies.
No boy. No boy.
How
Don't
long have
rub
we
your
been
hands.
living in a deep fake, Daniel?
Well, I'm pretty insulated. I only talk to maybe 6 people on a day-to-day basis. And then I watch a lot of YouTube. And everyone on there is paid actors. So I guess I don't really know anything. Is this real life? Are we even here?
I am leaning more and more towards the idea that there's absolutely nothing we can trust on the news, regardless of source.
Well, considering the amount of photographs of dummies I've seen in hospital beds...
Oh, but those are just stock photos.
Well, if considering the amount of stock photos I've seen from the news...
Yeah, it seems a little ridiculous that if they don't want people to be conspiratorially minded, they keep using stock photos of trainees standing over dummies. You think they'd at least take a stock photo that looks somewhat real and then blur out the model's face?
Yeah, all I have to do is send a photographer to a hospital and get a real photo. They can get... It doesn't even have to be of a patient. It can be of some doctors walking down a hallway. Rushing down a hallway so they look like they're urgent or whatever. And then just get them to sign a form. Those people would love to have their faces on the front page or whatever.
But,
and they don't. Instead, they just yank one off the internet. Is that lazy journalism, or is it because nothing's going on at the hospital?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. It really is. Because they're not giving us what appears to be real news.
I'd be interested to look at some articles on the supposed people who've died in multiple cities under different names.
Yeah, we should look that up. I'd like to see actual people. Like, I feel like the only person I can trust out there is James O'Keefe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He seems to put things out that people actually hate because it's actually the truth. Mm-hmm. And then everybody talks bad about him, which is not nice because he just has a camera you can't see. It's you who are doing the talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and of course we know that a deep fake is actually something totally different, but...
Well, they think that there's a guy out there who thinks that Tom Hanks hosting the SNL at home thing, that whole thing was a deep fake.
Really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
My man told
Tom
me
Hanks.
Tom Cruise.
No. Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
He hosted the SNL at home thing, and they think the guy claims that he's a deep fake. And if you watch just one part where he bends his neck looks all weird.
Oh, okay. I thought the theory there was that he was actually in prison.
Yeah, the other theory is he thinks that it wasn't even him. That particular guy. He said there's 2 theories. One is that he's not there, it's him, but they're filming him in front of a green screen, which could be quite possible. It's not hard to do. The other theory is that it's not him, it's just an actor, and they put his face on it because they can do deep fakes that good, and guaranteed they can. Guaranteed. If some guy with a high-end gaming PC can render a video for a week, it takes that long. It's really challenging for a computer. If he can render a video for a week and come up with a thing that looks real, he puts Tom Cruise's face on Bill Hader. You've seen those?
No.
Yeah, if you look up Control-Alt-Face on YouTube, there's some really wild videos.
I saw
if it looks
one...
real, it's really, really mind-blowing to watch.
But
I saw one if he can do that, then the government can absolutely do a perfect one that you won't be able to tell is fake. And Tom Hanks' voice, you can get his brother to do his voice.
Well,
what are you looking for?
I was trying to find the name of that person from earlier, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find it quickly. Yeah, I don't know. Who was it that said that 2020 would be the year of the deep fake?
I don't know. There's been a few people who've predicted that, and I'm inclined to believe it. But we've got a lot of people out there who are pretty good at analyzing the video and questioning everything to a fault almost. But there's that.
Well, yeah, but that's always going to be the conspiracy guys. It's always going to be the people who are already conspiratorially minded. That the masses are just going to watch CNN, NBC,
SNL.
Yeah, they're just going to watch those.
That's a good point.
And they're just going to see their people going, so this is dumb, obviously, right?
Well,
how
many random people on the street believe that Sandy Hook was a lone gunman who went in and killed a bunch of children? You know what I mean? Go down the street and ask them. They almost, to a man, will tell you that that's what happened there.
That's a poor example because that's a pretty dividing line, even with conspiracy people.
Absolutely, I don't think a lone gunman went in there and killed a bunch of children. No way.
I think something else happened, but I don't know.
You and I are kind of split on this one, aren't we?
A little bit.
I don't think.
The problem is that a lot of these things that happened, I was still fairly young when they happened.
Yeah.
So I wasn't paying attention to the news. But I definitely believe that everything we see could be fake nowadays. Everything.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard for them to do with the technology they have now.
I'm not saying that I think it is,
and
it could be.
Yeah, we all know the news only comes from like 4 sources, like 4 to 6 sources, and that's it. Every single news channel just parrots what they got from those 4 to 6 sources.
And people can say all they want that social media has opened the door a little bit to allow individuals to communicate. Well, the problem is there's a lot of individuals who are trolls.
Yeah.
That is what they do on social media. They have fake accounts, they have double accounts, they'll go and they'll promote themselves on separate accounts. I believe that I've seen a bunch of troll posts from people claiming to be conservatives or Trump supporters who are pushing, ridiculous narratives.
Yeah.
So, I do know it's a scary time I think it's a scary time in the world because you really can't know what's real. Moving on. Project Bluebeam.
Why did you think of this?
We were watching KJ the other day, and he had a couple of videos on Bluebeam, but I think it ties into the deep fake thing,
Yeah. I'm not sure where I am on Bluebeam. I think it's... Okay, well, let's back up. Anybody listening should look up the video of the Pope that came out recently, where he's just like in a doorway, and then he turns around, and it's almost like there's no sound, but you can almost hear it go boop.
Yeah.
Because he just vanishes. It's like somebody flicked a switch, and he literally just disappears. Instantly.
What is the technology on holograms right now?
It's really good. It's even... Put it this way. Everyone knows... Who knows? Everyone knows that the government has technology that's like 60% more advanced than us at any given time. It's like something like 8 to 10 years in the future as far as like technology. Our holograms right now are pretty darn good, such that they have like I've never seen with my own eyes, so I can't tell really how realistic it is, but they had, like, Michael Jackson dancing across the stage posthumously. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And Prince. They had Prince dancing with Bruno Mars or whatever. Was it Bruno Mars? Anyway.
We can assume that the Vatican's probably pretty up there because they've got money.
Absolutely. They have all the money. It's
so
absurd.
It would not surprise me in the least if they did a hologram of the Pope just to protect him from COVID-19.
Yeah.
You know?
Or maybe he's been dead all along.
Right.
Maybe he's not even real.
No, we've got a video of him slapping a woman.
That's a good point.
But no, I think it fits in, especially because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the idea that there are microparticles in the atmosphere?
Yeah.
To use?
I don't know the actual theory because I actually looked it up, and it comes from this guy who I didn't even know this until we looked it up just today. It comes from this guy. His name is Serge Monast. Monast? Monast? I don't know. He's from Quebec, so he's a French dude. But, so his book apparently is really difficult to find now. It's not printed real widely at all, and it hasn't been printed in a long time. He's the one who kind of published a book called Project Bluebeam, so he's the guy, in parentheses, NASA, right? Mm-hmm. So he thinks it's NASA. So I don't know what he says because I haven't read his book, but the prevailing theory that I know of is that the chemtrails are involved, and they are spreading particulates through the air, just like you said, that reflect a certain wavelength of light. Mm-hmm. Normally sunlight, it just lets sunlight through and it looks like a normal sky, but it's still up there hanging in the atmosphere so that they can project pictures onto it.
Well, that's not even necessarily a conspiracy because there are many, many articles about scientists actually wanting to spray particulates in the atmosphere to stop global warming.
Right, exactly. So it's not far-fetched at all that they would come up with some other application with those particles in the air. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think Bluebeam. The whole theory is that they're gonna usher in the Antichrist with the fake coming of Christ using holograms, right? That's the theory.
I think it's going to be more of a false alien savior.
Right. And I think there's entities out there that people are seeing that are actual entities. There may even be actual crafts that fly around that people are seeing. But couple that with the ability to project images in the sky with a drone or whatever, they could amplify it even more and make it seem like it's worldwide all at the same time, and everybody will believe it because we're all conditioned to know that. Hey, Tucker Carlson was talking about the aliens last night. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's been in the news recently, and everyone knows this is a phenomenon. It is common knowledge. It's part of the zeitgeist, as it were.
I've heard there are multiple polls recently that show that a great majority of people believe in aliens or some sort of entity visiting.
Yeah, what was it? Something like maybe 50 or 40% of Americans, when put to the actual task, don't really believe in Jesus or God, but was it like 80% of people are open to the idea of aliens? It's like the numbers have flipped. It used to be nearly everybody believed in God, at least, even though that maybe not Jesus, but God, a higher power. And now it's like flipped. Oh, we don't believe in God, but aliens. Now that's where it's at.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
I don't remember who it was. It might have been KJ again because we just listened to him yesterday. But somebody was mentioning how the most recent Spider-Man's kind of a little bit about something like Bluebeam. Remember, they use all those drones to, make false images and completely create a narrative.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew what they were seeing except Spider-Man.
Yep. In the movie, all they need is explosives with projected image over it to make people believe that an alien shot a blue light into a building to make it explode, and they just trigger the explosive at the right time.
Yeah.
And then the alien flies away, and you think an alien shot a building.
So 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people think those planes were not actually there, and there's a lot of evidence pointing towards that. They were just video feed that was pre-edited that was sent to the news places, the news companies that put it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be that many people who would have to receive the video. You know? It's pretty spooky. They don't have any actual eyewitness accounts of people seeing planes hit buildings at all.
Except for that one guy who was also at the Boston bombing, right? Wasn't there a guy who was also there?
There's a couple of people who have been at like 3 or 4 giant terrorist attacks like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same people. There's a couple of them. There's one particular guy. I think it's the same guy we're thinking of. Yeah, there's a bunch of spooky stuff.
So, but to continue on talking about spraying stuff in the atmosphere, though, I told you about an article earlier about apparently they're getting ready to spray sanitizer over cities in Spain.
So happy.
But chemtrails aren't real, but we're going to douse you all in sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you, I wonder how many people are going to be sterile when this is all over. Because they've been dousing themselves in Lysol.
Sterile?
I was not trying to be punny, but, you know.
That's bad and funny at the same time.
I wasn't trying to be punny, okay?
You're very creative with your humor. You should write comedy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get sprayed with some random thing cooked up in the lab. Or a distillery, for that matter.
Yeah, it just amazes me how trusting people are of, here, take this sanitizing wipe that I just spread all over your car. It's going to soak into your skin.
And what I know about it is that it doesn't work unless you're literally doused. Like, liquid on you for minutes. That's how it works.
Gross.
Well, not minutes. 45 seconds was the minimum that I saw on a particular product. But still, it has to be wet for 45 seconds before it dries. Which means they're going to, like, have large droplet applications sprayed over those places. Like trying to put a forest fire out, you know what I mean? With a big douse. Not just, like, you'll be able to feel it, is what I'm trying to say.
Are they going to have people, like, shut their windows and, like, not leave for days?
I don't know.
But it's a pretty horrifying idea that, you know, they've... Conceivably, people are not going to protest this. Conceivably, people aren't going to be able to.
Also, has that stuff been tested on like, agriculture?
Yeah.
Animals, you know, for food, like cattle, chickens? Like, what happens when it gets into their water supply, and what happens when it, like, leaches off the road into the cornfield, or whatever, you know? Cabbage fields, it doesn't matter, but, like, have they tested it for all that? Is it going to ruin their food supply because the animals start having problems because they've been drinking water that's saturated with this stuff they sprayed all over their country? Like, the ramifications could be huge.
You gotta wonder how many people are going to die as a side effect of all this panic.
Oh, there's going to be a ton of people there's probably a ton of people who are already dead because of the panic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're staying at home. We were just talking about the possibility of heightened abuse cases because of people staying home. Just one small facet of it.
Yeah. Boy, what was I going to say? I don't know. There was, I believe, a case in Canada about a month ago. Somebody who decided to kill himself because of COVID. I'm sure that wasn't exactly the reason. He probably already had mental health issues.
That's always my guess.
Yeah.
It's never the reason that somebody suicidal says. It's never that reason. It's something else.
Well, the article I saw said that the guy had been really fired up about the climate and all these other things. You know, one of those people
that guy, yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, really weepy when they see a chicken.
Yeah.
Being, you know, slaughtered for meat or something.
One of those people who can't keep their emotions in check enough to, like, just be a normal person. They just have to go out there and be inflamed in their passions about something all the time.
Yeah.
Out there with their signs on the street corners about whatever. You know, the thing of the moment.
Speaking of signs, I watched an actual news clip from NBC while you're upstairs. And the reason is because the screenshot showed a sign from apparently a protest in Texas that said, Texas will not take the mark of the beast.
Wow.
So this big sign being carried by a couple of people, and it said that, and it had ID 2020 and something about vaccines and Bill Gates. Just, wow.
Legit.
And I don't think NBC mentioned that sign in particular.
Of course not.
But they showed it front and center.
Good for them. Or not good for them, depending on how you see it.
Anyway.
We're not alone, We're not completely alone.
No, and it's nice to realize that. Like I said, I've been seeing a lot more stuff since we joined that new Facebook group. It's nice to know that people who are Christians and conservatives and have their eyes open to some conspiracies in the world aren't as rare as it seems.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's an awful lot of right-leaning people who are just... They believe any narrative that's fed to them because it comes from an authority. Anyway, to take a sidetrack that's also conspiratorial, but not so doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom, I was going to say that.
I've been seeing ads for Quibi.
Oh, they're pushing it so hard, and I still don't really know what it is. I hope you do, because I didn't look it up. It seems bizarre. It's 10-minute TV shows?
It's 7 to 10 minute short bites of TV that you can stream on your phone. And they seem to be pushing it with the idea that, we've got all these big names. All these big names you're going to recognize. And I keep seeing ads, and I wonder if these people are actually going to be involved or not. But it's like, it seems...
Well, they got Sophie Turner. I know that because she's all over the ads. They're always advertising the show that she's in.
Yeah, I saw one that also had the Hemsworth brother that nobody cares about. I can't remember.
Luke?
No.
Remember
Liam Hemsworth? He's the one that married
crazy
trashy
chick?
star.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Miley.
Apparently, Katzenberg is the project's founder, and it also has a former eBay and Hewlett-Packard boss as the chief executive officer, and it's got a bunch of big media conglomerates behind it, like Warner Brothers, NBC, Disney, BBC, Lionsgate, and MGM. And aside from having these little bite-sized TV shows, they're also going to have, and this is actual, quote, daily essentials of news bites, like NBC, Telemundo, BBC, and Canada's CTV, with TMZ and some other stuff. They're considered daily essentials. These little bite-sized news clips.
Telemundo and BBC and CTV are all state-owned television networks.
Yeah.
Dumb.
And so my theory about this is, do you think it's a plot to further damage the attention span of people and make them even more easy to control? All they have to do is go, hey, look at this bad thing that's happening in the world. Believe it. And you go, oh, this bad thing is happening in the world. Oh, look, there's a new episode of my favorite TV show on.
And it's only 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
I guess I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I guess I'll binge all 8 days of this show because it's only 10 minutes at a time. Look, something shiny.
Yeah. Think about it. I mean, people, if their attention spans are so short, they'll go from panicking 1 second to, oh, my comfort. Panic. Oh, my comfort. They won't stop to think about it long enough.
It's that dopamine thing, too. Fear induces a dopamine, serotonin type of response, So it works in reverse, too, I guess. At Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and LinkedIn and Instagram, Stickam, TikTok, they've all programmed us to just want that thing that's 1 minute long and doesn't take a lot of effort, and it's only 5 sentences or a minimum amount of character counts or whatever, and you just keep scrolling. Just keep going. You're addicted.
That's my theory about Quibi.
Well, it's being pushed really hard, so that's all I got for you, but if they do have all those big names, they all want in. That's a lot of big names. Disney, Warner Brothers, MGM. That's like all the movies. That's all of them right there in 3 companies. Yeah.
I saw something the other day that said that there's a lot of TV shows they're running out of episodes and they're not filming.
Oh, yeah.
So how long before people start... they need their fix of their favorite TV show.
Won't bother me none. I'll just watch more Stargate.
Oh, yeah, Stargate.
Just keep watching Stargate over and over.
Still haven't finished that together in a few years.
15 seasons of Stargate. I'm fine with that. That's plenty of TV show for me.
You're counting Atlantis, right?
Yeah.
Never did finish the other one, the bad one.
The bad one. Universe. Study
Yeah.
Universe. Anyway, moving on. Are people really burning down 5G towers? It is a good question because I've just seen like little snippets, but someone claimed that over 50 had been burned. 50?
I saw that.
That's an awful lot.
I haven't seen any hard evidence about it. All I've seen is that they're saying conspiracy theorists are blaming 5G towers, and these 5G towers burned down. Therefore, and my thought was that, maybe they're burning down on accident.
Yeah, and they just need a patsy.
Yeah, well, maybe they're burning down on accident. Maybe there's a design flaw. Maybe something with 5G itself is causing fires.
It's too hot.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm way off on that, but
it seems absurd to me that there's a little army of people who are crazy enough to believe all the rumors so wholeheartedly that they're willing to commit arson and go to prison forever.
Well, let's be fair. We do believe that 5G is that dangerous.
Yeah, but am I willing to go commit arson and break huge laws? No, I'm certainly not. I just think it's spooky that they're pushing it so hard when we don't need it, and how there are some health effects that seem to be rather proven, as evidenced by a certain article in Scientific American that I read not too long ago. It's not just this baseless idea that they're dangerous. Mm-hmm. The information is out there in scientific articles.
Every single article on this subject says these are all baseless.
I know.
These are all false.
That's the problem. Because they got their fingers in the pockets, and they want you to believe that it's safe, but it's out there. If you want to find the tangible, hard evidence of them not being that safe, it's there.
Well, what's interesting is, so I went to DuckDuckGo instead of Google, and I looked up cell phone tower accidentally burns down. Because I was thinking, well, there must be multiple stories of cell phone towers burning down before, because it seems unlikely that something like that would just burn down so easily. And the only one I found was a single story from different news articles of a cell phone tower catching fire in 2015 when welders accidentally set it fire. And it didn't even burn down. They put out the fire in like 25 minutes and the thing was still standing. So that was the only article, that was the only story I could find from multiple sources. And are you looking up that exact?
Yeah, it's in Scientific American. It's granted, it's an opinion piece, so it's not science, but still, it's written by a dude who I think is a scientist. It says, we have no reason to believe 5G is safe. The technology is coming, but contrary to what some people say, there could be health risks. So this is like a dude who went through and looked at all the different regulations. You see FCC, FDA, RFR. It's littered with scientific jargon, and I don't know if there's sources that he cites if you want to dig into it.
Well, and we do know that there are studies that talk about how this is unsafe. We've seen them in other places. We just haven't bothered to save them yet. But what's interesting is that we have just a regular old cell phone tower out the road here.
Yeah.
And it's got a sign on it that says, beyond this point, 10 feet away from the road, the radiation might exceed FCC standards or whatever.
Yeah.
That it says.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that sign is dumb because the fence isn't that big. It's literally like 12 more feet beyond before you can touch the tower.
Yeah.
So it's dangerous 12 feet away, but not 13. Yeah, right. Come on.
Anyway, that's what I think. I think that people, maybe a couple people might have been freaked out enough or felt emboldened enough to go and set a cell phone tower on fire, which in itself seems to me like it wouldn't catch fire that easily.
Well, rubber insulation on the wires.
Okay.
You can see the rubber insulation on the wires on the one on the road that we can walk up close to.
I didn't look that carefully.
Yeah, I looked at it the other day. You could, if you were really determined, I am not advocating for it. There's my disclaimer. If you were determined, you just take some bolt cutters, snap the lock, take a blowtorch to that, and
well, I was thinking,
poof.
It's dumb though. Is that you wouldn't even need bolt cutters. The one out there, it's like a 2-foot gap. Skinny person could just squeeze through.
You can probably climb over it too. I don't think there's barbed wire or anything.
So,
it's in the woods. Like it's literally in the woods. For anyone listening, it's literally in the woods. You're walking in the woods. There's no houses. There's nothing. It's just out in the woods.
Actually, did you see creaky chair? I saw something when I was scrolling through DuckDuckGo. I believe from the Kennedy website, saying that some group is wanting to put 5G towers on people's homes. And I didn't look at it, but it would not surprise me if some people want to make smart homes.
You just buy tons and tons and tons of aluminum foil and some spray glue or some roll-on glue, and you start putting that foil on your walls like mad. Just go ham at it. Insulate your house like crazy from RFR.
People have been making fun of tinfoil hats for years, but maybe it's time to
tinfoil hat your house. Make a giant tinfoil hat for your roof.
Yeah, protect your brain from EMF.
Yeah, I think there's merit in that. That's why we gotta buy our survival house way up in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing. No cell towers. All you can use is a shortwave radio.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, that kind of brings us to our last little bit, which isn't, we don't have articles or anything, but I just found interesting the other day that liberals in Alaska are still pushing to recall our governor. In the midst of all this, they're freaking out about the virus, and they're freaking out about not wanting to open things up, and the governor shut down everything they wanted him to, but it's not enough for the liberals. They still want to get him out of there in the midst of all this. And what's worse is that here in our town, apparently the city manager and some others want to hike property taxes.
Yeah,
nobody can go to work.
That's such garbage. Oh, we don't have any money because of coronavirus, but we're going to raise property taxes. Even though we put a ton of people out of work by forcing them to stay home so they can't afford the property taxes. It's this vicious circle of like forcing people to pay money that they don't have, and it's all their fault. Basically, it's the government's fault that nobody has any money.
Well, apparently they think they're looking at like 34.5 million deficit in their budget or something.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Well, you know, people are expecting these services that we provide, so we've got to find a way to get the money to provide these services. You know, I told you earlier, my dream job, if I wasn't raising the next generation, I think, would be to just take a city budget and just red ink it everywhere. Just cut everything. Because there's so much waste.
Like their electric buses.
Ugh, the stupid electric buses that they're going to buy. It's just, it's like cities and states, they can't possibly think of refurbishing anything, of improving anything. No, they've got to buy new crap every year.
Yeah, you know, I always remember learning that part of the reason they don't use concrete on the roads around here is because the asphalt degrades. It degrades at a predictable rate over time. Therefore, they can purposefully plan for when it needs to be repaired and resurfaced. So they can start putting the bids together again and pump more money into the city and pump more money into the economy because they can hire a company to come and resurface the road every so many years. And they have to send their little guys out who do a terrible job with the pothole repair team or whatever. They don't do a good job. But if they put concrete on the roads, it would last way, way longer. Just so much longer that it would put a bunch of people out of work. Oh no. Well, heaven forbid we have roads that actually don't have potholes for a while and they don't need repair for a while. Yeah, that was pretty startling to hear. This was from a guy who worked on the road crew, so he knew. I mean, it seemed like a credible source.
Well, I saw a funny thing on Facebook from somebody in Ketchikan saying this will be the first year that we don't have road construction and tourists at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a joke that in Ketchikan, every single year they're replacing that road.
Every year. It's absurd. I saw just a thing on Twitter, just rando, with a post on Twitter that I agreed with heavily. Every town in the whole country should have road crews working like mad right now, just to do all the work while the roads are empty. You see all all this footage of people walking around with their cameras in downtown LA. There's no one there. There's no cars driving, you know? Go and fix the places that need to be fixed, that people hate it when you fix it. Just do it now.
Well, they are fixing something downtown.
Yeah,
they didn't finish.
They are. But the traffic in our town hasn't really abated that much. It's a little less, but it still seems like there's a ton of cars out there.
Yeah. Well, and it did. So, staying in Alaska for a minute, people all over the nation are starting to have protests, which good for them. Mm-hmm. But I was telling you, it seems to me that Alaska is uniquely unable to do that because we're so spread out.
It's true. It's not like, you can't drive to the capital. You literally can't drive to the capital. It's landlocked. Mm-hmm. You have to put your car on a ferry, which is a failing system.
Are ferries going at all right now?
I have no idea. They haven't funded them as far as I know, and so a lot of them are just at the dock. I got a buddy who's got a ton of seniority on the ferry, working on the ferry. He's working a different job now. And so is his wife. They both worked on the ferry for quite a few years now, and they're finding other stuff to do because they don't have any work.
Yeah.
So it's either that or you fly, and nobody's going to buy a plane ticket or drive to the next town and put their car on the ferry to get to the capital so that they can stand with a picket line on the steps of the capital. That's way too much effort.
Of course, we don't even have the population to do that, though.
No, we have too many liberals around here who think it's great that we're staying home.
Yeah, we have too many liberals here, so a lot of the conservatives are up north where they can drive.
Yeah.
Well, the other problem, too, though, is that even if people wanted to hop on planes together, you can't because it's not essential travel.
Yeah, that's true. Although, I still haven't been questioned at all.
That's because you're
I've flown to another town twice. Yeah, I'm taking little planes.
You're taking little planes.
Yeah, if it was Alaska Airlines, I wonder if I would have trouble.
Probably.
Yeah.
The Gestapo.
It's fine. I have a paper. I signed it. It's got my signature on it for myself.
But it is unfortunate because apparently people here were going to get together and do some sort of a protest here. One Facebook friend said she showed up and nobody was there, but then she heard it might have been somewhere else, so I just don't know. But in this town, it would not surprise me at all if people, saw a couple people gathering downtown and immediately called the cops.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
all those crazy people out there.
It's unfortunate, but Alaska is probably not going to be able to participate in anything like this because the conservatives are also spread out.
Anyway, yeah, I guess that's all we had. Our notes were so organized tonight, but we still did a big old long episode.
How long?
Hour and 20 minutes.
First 20 minutes, so that was us just making funny noises in the mic.
About 20 minutes. We'll see. We'll trim it down. But that's the end of the episode. Find us on Twitter, Hinterland's feed. Check out our new podcast. We've got one episode, Hinterland Story Hour. Look that up. Just type that into your podcatcher. I'm on 8 places, so it should be easy to find. Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. The list goes on. That's story reviews. They're all spoilers, so if you're not into stories or reviews, skip it. Just listen to us talk about the news.
Our first episode is a 2-parter. We're going to do the next season, our next episode.
Yeah, but not tonight, because it's getting close to midnight and I'm exhausted. Mm-hmm. Alrighty then, that's it. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.